Hey guys, so today I will show you how to crochet this sushi amigurumi, and as you can see here, these are just simple sushi that you can see everywhere. This is the egg one and this is the salmon one, and they look something like this. Super cute and easy to crochet. And I got requests from two people on YouTube. I will put their name on the screen or in the description box. So I just want to say thank you so much for requesting me. And before we get started, I want to announce that I just created a Facebook page. So please go like my Facebook page there, because it would be easier if I have any announcement, any update. If you want to see any work in progress photos, or you want a fast reply to your questions or anything, you can ask me on my Facebook, because I check Facebook like many hours per day. But for YouTube, I don't check it very often. So usually I reply to your questions a little bit late. So please like my Facebook page. The link will be in the description, as well as the link to the written pattern. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so first we will start making the foundation chain of 9, and I would do a slip knot first, like this, and now we will chain 9. So yarn over, pull yarn through that loop on the hook, and you have the first chain like this, and do repeat the process 8 more times. Yarn over, pull yarn through, the second chain, third one, the fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, seventh one, eighth one, and the ninth one. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So for the next step, we are going to do 1 single crochet in 7 chain, starting from the second chain from the hook. So let me show you. The first chain is the ninth one that we just create, which is this one right here, the top one. This is the slip knot, the tail, and this is the top one where connected to your ball of yarn. And the second one would be this one. And you can either crochet in one of the loop of the chain like this, or what I like to do is that I would turn this piece over, and you can see there's a little line, and if you insert in your hook into one of those lines like this, and you can turn it over, and you can see there's still your chain, and I insert my hook into the second chain, obviously, and this is the second line. So what I'm gonna do now is that I will do 1 single crochet in 7 lines, starting from the second line from the hook. So if you cannot tell where's the first and the second line, it's easier for you just to count from your chains, and you can see this is the first chain and this is the second chain. So I will show you how to do a single crochet. Insert your hook into that second line from the hook, yarn over, pull the yarn through that line. So you can see you have 2 loops on the hook like this, yarn over and pull yarn through both loops, and you have a single crochet. So I will show you again. Insert your hook into the next line like this, yarn over, pull the yarn through, you have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull yarn through both loops on the hook. So you have another single crochet. Repeat the same process 5 more times. So you will you have 7 single crochets on your foundation chain except the last one, and I will explain why later. Okay, so I have 7 single crochets now. So you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do not count the first chain that you skipped earlier, because it is a foundation for a single crochet. So for the last chain that you haven't crocheted right here, what I'm gonna do is that I will crochet 4 single crochets into this last stitch. So just do 4 single crochets. So 1, you can put place the tail onto the piece like this, so that you can work easily. So 2 single crochets into the last stitch, 3 and 4. Alright. Okay, so after crocheting, you can see it's kind of turned over like this, and what we are going to do now is that we will turn our work over and work at this size. And you can see there's a stitch at this slip knot right here, this one. I don't know if you can see that, but we will skip that one, and we will crochet into the next stitch, which is this one right here, the visible one. The previous one is kind of covered by the single crochet that we crocheted earlier. So what I'm going to do now is that I will do 1 single crochet in 6 stitches. So you will still have 1 last stitches left, and I will explain later. Okay, so after crocheting 6 single crochets across, it should look something like this. Now we still have our last stitch right here, so for this we would do an increase in the last stitch, and an increase means you will do 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So 1 in that last stitch, and then another single crochet. So you can see an increase forms something like a little V, and now I will insert in the marker into the last stitch right here. Okay, as you can see, after crocheting, it forms something like this, and this is our first row, and you should have 19 stitches for this. So move on to the second row. We will start to crochet into the first stitch, which is this one right here, and be careful not to crochet into this one, the middle, and be careful not to crochet into this one right here, because it is the first chain that we skipped earlier. So it's easy if you count 19 stitches starting from the marker right here, and just count back, and the first stitch should be this one. So for the second row, we would do an increase in the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, this stitch right here, and then 2 increases, so 1 increase in this stitch, 1 increase in this stitch, and then 8 1 single crochet in the next 8 stitches. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and the last stitch is the one you have the marker right here. You should crochet 1 increase. Okay, so let's start. 1 increase in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7, and then do 2 increases, so 1 increase in this stitch, and then 1 increase in the next stitch. So the first increase, 1 2, you can see it forms a little V, and then an increase in the next, 1 2, and you can see it turn over again, and 1 single crochet in the next 8 stitches. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. Take out your marker and crochet into the last stitch, and this stitch crochet an increase, 1 2, add in the marker again, and we have finished our second row. And for this row you should have 23 stitches. Okay, so move on to the third row. First we would do 1 increase in the first 2 stitches, and then 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So about here, 1 increase in the next, this one, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, so 1 2, and then 1 increase in the next stitch, this one, 1 single crochet in the next 8 stitches, so about this stitch right here, 1 increase in the next, and then lastly 1 single crochet in the last stitch. Okay, so let's begin. 1 increase in the first 2 stitches, so the first increase, the second increase, one single crochet in the next 7 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. One increase into the next stitch, and then and then one crochet into the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then do 1 increase into the next stitch, 1 crochet in the next 8 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then do 1 increase into the next stitch, like so. And lastly, do 1 crochet into the last stitch. Okay, so we have finished our 3rd row, and you should have 28 stitches for it. So for the next row, we would do 1 crochet in the first 3 stitches, and then an increase into the next stitch, and then do 1 crochet in the next 7 stitches, this stitch right here, and then do 1 increase into the next 2 stitches, and then and then do 1 crochet into the next 3 stitches, and then do 1 increase into the next 2 stitches, 1 crochet in the next 7 stitches, and then do 1 increase into the next 2 stitches, and lastly 1 crochet into the last stitch right here. Okay, so let's begin. And this is our 4th row. So 1 crochet into the first 3 stitches, do 1 increase into the next stitch, 1, 2, okay, so do 1 crochet into the next 7 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then do 1 increase into the next 2 stitches, 1 increase, just 2 increase, and 1 crochet into the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then do 1 increase into the next 2 stitches, so 1 increase, 2 increases, and then do 1 crochet into the next 7 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then do 1 increase into the next 2 stitches, and lastly do 1 crochet into the last stitch, like so. Okay. For the next 3 rows, we are going to do 1 crochet around and we will still have 35 stitches just like the previous row, and I will move forward. Okay, so I have finished crocheting 3 rows of single crochets, so now we will move on to the next row. Okay, so for the next row, I'm gonna do 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches and then a decrease in the next 2 stitches. I will show you how to do a decrease in a sec. So 1, 2, 3. Alright, to do a decrease, first you insert your hook into the next stitch. Here is the fourth one. Yarn over, pull yarn through that stitch. Do not yarn over and pull yarn through both loops on the hook because that is a single crochet. So insert in the next stitch, which is the fifth one. Yarn over and pull yarn through, and you have 3 loops on the hook like this. And yarn over and pull yarn through all of the 3 loops like this. And that's a decrease. I will walk with you again. So 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, a decrease, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull yarn through, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull yarn through, and you have 3 loops on the hook like this, and yarn over, pull yarn through all the 3 loops on the hook. So you can see that. Repeat the whole process until you reach your marker, which means 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitch, a decrease, 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitch, a decrease until you reach your marker. For the next row, I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first 2 stitches and then a decrease in the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, a decrease. Repeat the whole process until you reach your marker. 1, 2. Okay, so I added in the eyes. I added them between row 6 and 7, counting from the center row that I told you the first row earlier. Remember that? And both eyes are 5 stitches apart. As you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you can count this way. You count upward from the row that we just crocheted earlier and add in the eye between rows 3rd and 4th, and of course 5 stitches apart also. So I also secured the back of the eyes with my glue gun, but I only do this because my safety eyes don't have those plastic or metal thing to secure the back. But if you do have them, please use them instead of using the glue gun like this. This is just giving you an idea if you don't have the secure pieces. So now I will start to put in a little bit of stuffing. Now we will continue on crocheting, and for the next row I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 decrease in the next 2 stitches. So 1, a decrease, repeat the same process until you reach your marker. Okay, so from this row on, we will do decreases around until the hole is small enough to close up the gap, and put in some more stuffing if necessary. Finish off by chaining one and cut your yarn, and then we will sew up the gap. Okay, so for this piece I will just hide it inside the base. Just push it in like this, and this is how your base or your rice part should look like. Okay guys, so now I will continue on crocheting the top piece of the sushi. And this piece right here is actually two separate pieces, and then I sew them together. So for this piece, basically just follow the pattern for the sushi on the first 4 rows of the sushi, or should I write in the written pattern the first 5 steps. Step 1 is chain 9 and then crochet on the first row, the second row, the third row, and lastly the fourth row. And you should read something like this. And the first 4 rows are the ones that right before the 3 rows that you did with single crochet. So just follow the tutorial that I showed you earlier, and I'm not going to do that again, but instead I will just went ahead and crochet 2 pieces in red, since I'm gonna make this into a salmon sushi. Make a slip stitch into the next stitch to finish off. And then cut a long tail of yarn to sew up later. Make one more piece of this with the exact same pattern, and you can see it should fit perfectly onto the top of the sushi like this. What I'm gonna do now is that I will finish off this piece. But don't cut the yarn yet. We will embroider some of the diagonal lines, like you see for the salmon sushi. So take out your white yarn, and we will embroider on the the piece that we haven't cut the yarn yet. Just cut a really long string of white yarn and tied one knot at the end like this, and we will embroider on the diagonal piece. So it helps when you place it on like this and just go. Oh, oh no. Okay, so just embroider diagonal I'm gonna embroider 3 diagonal lines. If you like, you can go back a couple of times. I will just do the lines 2 times like this and move on to the next. Okay, it should look something like this. And tie knots at the back a couple of times so that it would not come off. So I would tie triple knots. And you can either cut your excess yarn and just leave them there because they are not gonna be seen anyways. Okay, so after you cut the yarn, it should look something like this on the back, and this is the front. So what I like to do now is that I would join the 2 pieces together, and so this is the first piece that I made, and this is the second one I made, but I haven't cut the yarn yet. But what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna do the slip stitches to join the 2 pieces together, and I will turn the I will put the 2 pieces with the wrong size of the 2 pieces face to face together like this, since I want the nice looking side gonna be the outside, and the not so pretty looking side is gonna be in the inside. And I am going to do the slip stitches around. So basically we just put the 2 pieces together, place them face to face, and I don't know if you guys can see it clearly. Line up these stitches like this, line them up, and what I'm gonna do is that I will insert in the next stitch of the front piece, and also the opposite stitch of the other piece. And I am going to do slip stitch, and if you don't know what a slip stitch is, basically you just insert your hook through the stitch, but right here we have 2 stitches of the two pieces and yarn over, pull yarn through all of them and just pull through the loop on the hook also. Okay, so I'm gonna do it again. Insert your hook into the next two lined up stitches like this. Yarn over, pull yarn through them all and pull yarn through the loop on the hook. Okay, again, insert your hook into the line up stitches like this. Yarn over, pull yarn through all of them and pull through the loop on the hook like this. So just repeat the whole process again until you reach the end, like right here, and make sure the two pieces are all closed, and then we will sew the whole thing onto the base. Okay, so we reached the end like this, and just continue on and finish off everything. You can see they all close, and just then cut your yarn. And I'm gonna leave a long tail since I don't know if this piece right here is long enough for me to sew the salmon onto the base. And now basically we will sew this salmon piece onto the rice part. Place it on like this. Okay guys, so after sewing on the salmon piece, it should look something like this. And I think it looks really nice, just like the egg one right here. And as you can see, I also added the face, but I will talk about it later. For this salmon, I don't think I will do the seaweed piece to wrap around it, but I will do a tutorial for it for those who would want to know how to make it. So take out the yarn color you want to do the seaweed, and I just randomly picked this color. So first we will make a slip knot, and I will leave a long tail first because it is a little bit more convenient. If you leave a long tail, you can sew one edge of the seaweed after you finish, and when you finish and you leave another long tail, you can sew the other edge of the seaweed. So I think it's a little bit more convenient if you leave a long tail in the first place. Alright, so first make a slip knot. Like so. And chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we are going to do 1 crochet across, starting from the second chain from the hook. So like just like you did the sushi, this is your first chain, you can see right here, and it's the second one, and you will want to crochet in this second one from the hook. And you can either crochet like this, or you can turn the piece over and crochet in the little lines on the back like this. And of course we will crochet in the second line from the hook. So this is the first one and this is the second one. I'm not sure if you can see that clearly, but it will be easier if you just count from here, first, second, and just turn this over, and you can see the line for the second stitch would be, the second chain would be this one right here. Alright, just do single crochet across it. Two, and then three. So you should have something like this. So now we will chain one. So to chain one, you just grab the yarn and pull it through the loop on your hook like so, and turn your work over like this, and we will do single crochet across. So just you will not do single crochet into your chain one, but you will do into the stitch that we crocheted earlier. Okay, it should look something like this. And of course your line, your piece should still have 3 stitches. And from this stage forward, you just repeat the process, which is chain 1, turn your work over and do single crochet across until you reach a good length to wrap around your sushi. And that's it. That's really easy. And I didn't really write down the total uploads in the parent since I didn't count it, but like I said, you just need to crochet a good enough length to wrap around your sushi and you're good. And last but not least is to add in the face. So as you can see here, I have here 2 styles of making the face. Well, not actually 2 styles, but here I use the pink felt for the cheeks, as you can see here, and of course the 2 mouths here I embroidered with black thread, and these are just simple V shape smiles and nothing really hard to talk about. But for this salmon sushi, I use a marker to not to paint it on, but just like slightly just like touching the cheeks so that the color will stay slightly. It's a little bit hard to tell under the camera, but the color of the cheeks looks really nice outside. Okay, that's it for this sushi tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for requesting me. And for the link to the written pattern, it's gonna be in the description box. And also, if you interested, please visit my Facebook page and like my page there. And I will talk to you guys later. And bye.